Welcome to the Boss Lady Brigade Podcast. The Boss Lady Brigade Podcast is a community by and for female business owners with military experience or military connections, and their allies who would like to join forces. The mission of this podcast is to leverage community and industry expertise to offer game-changing information, education, and connections that businesses need to increase their impact, influence, and revenue. The Boss Lady Brigade podcast offers our fellow female vetrepreneurs, their family members, and allies opportunities to connect, grow, give, and build. Our goal is to provide the arsenal you need to maintain business readiness, resiliency, and reinvention. Now, here are your podcast hosts, Army veterans and entrepreneurs, K-Bar Rivera and Captain Lincoln. Welcome, Boss Ladies. This is our first episode of the Boss Lady Brigade podcast. We are so happy you decided to join us. We'd like to take a second and introduce ourselves. I'm K-Bar Rivera, and this is Captain Lincoln. So we'd like to tell you a little bit more about our background and why you should be listening to us. And please listen up, ladies, because in this podcast, as well as future episodes, we are going to share information with you that is life-changing and can save you, I would say, thousands of dollars and time, thousands of hours of time in your business so that you can focus on the things that are important to you. So this is a very high-end expert advice that you can use for free. It's advice that we get asked for all the time in our business, and it's just going to save you a ton of time with your learning curve and in your budget if you tune in each week. So with that said, Captain Lincoln, can you tell us a little bit more about your background, your military background and your entrepreneurial journey and anything else that might be kind of interesting?
Yeah. So I'm Captain Stephanie Lincoln. I spent 10 years in the Army. And I kind of stumbled into entrepreneurship. I had no desire to be an entrepreneur, but like many of us, you have a job. I had a government job, and that was a great career. And then I got laid off, just like with most government jobs. It usually ends up happening. So I was in a place in my life where I was kind of examining, hey, do I kind of want to go back in the rat race and do this, going through the ladder again with this career. And I said, no, F that. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to be my own boss. And hey, I could probably figure this out, right? I'm smart. Well, I've learned a lot of lessons, and hopefully in this podcast each week when you tune in, you will be learning mainly from the mistakes that K-Bar and I have made, more so than the knowledge that we have. But, I wish that I would have explored podcasts like this back when I first started my business. That would have saved me so much time and tens of thousands of dollars. I can definitely say with a definite tens of thousands of dollars. If I would have reached out for the resources and the expertise of other entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs and veteran entrepreneurs, to get the kind of lessons learned. And especially when I first started building my business, that was kind of the key moments that set me back a lot. And, once you gain momentum, you get going, you're starting to scale. So that's fantastic. You've kind of figured things out. But the key moments are like that first, 6 months to a year in your business. I know Karen's like the expert, and she knows like most businesses fail within 1 year. So I'm so grateful that that didn't happen to me, but I sure as hell can tell you that it got real damn close many, many times. So hopefully the expertise and the knowledge and the background that I have with being an entrepreneur, having a business, starting my own business and having it now up and running for 4 years, and then actually branching off because of my business expertise and helping other business owners get their businesses started and kind of teaching those lessons learned. So that's what I do with Backend Business Bullshit Solutions. So thanks, Karen, for pairing up with me for this awesome little venture that we're going on we're both passionate about helping other entrepreneurs, but especially female and military oriented, whether you're a military spouse or a military veteran yourself, or just in the military community and you want to do something to support or in connection with the military, then we are passionate about helping you get up and running and not be the statistic of one of those businesses that fails within the first year.
That's right. Well, that's a great introduction, Stephanie. I'm going to do my best to follow that. That was phenomenal. I think you speak a lot of truth, especially about that small business failure. 1 in 2 small businesses are failing in the United States, which is shocking to me because we have so many resources. But yeah, so our goal here is to kind of reduce those barriers. And I tell you what, Stephanie, when you talk about being in the military community, I think that's a good place to start with my introduction, because I really grew up in a military community. I am above everything. I am a military kid, right? I grew up in a military family with 3 to 4 generations of service before me. So I have both my grandfather and stepdad served in the Navy. And for me, because I don't care much about football, I always say I joined the Army. And I love the land. I don't like to get seasick, right? And I don't like small spaces. So
yeah, me too.
My
dad was in the Navy, so I feel like I betrayed him and I went into the Army. I was like, no, I need space.
Wide open spaces, please. Yeah, absolutely. So we all have our reasons, right? We were doing the military, but I can say that we have all 4 branches of the military represented in our family, and even the Coast Guard. And I grew up in a community with a 25%, military and veteran population, including spouse and kids. Grew up in a church where the leadership was all military leaders. Grew up at the American Legion. I mean, just really, that's where my love of military service began. And I was working with disabled veterans with doing some fundraising as a kid. So it just really kind of inspired me to join the military. And so at the ripe age of 18, I called my mom from a shopping mall, right? She had no idea. And I said, guess what? I'm in the Army now. And she's like, what? So I served in the Army at age 18 for a 4-year commitment, and served during Operation Desert Storm, Desert Shield, that era. And excuse me, served as a dental assistant during that time. So I worked in clinics and hospitals across the country during that time in the Army. And then my recent involvement in the veteran community started in working with veterans who were in transition, and they were and so I helped them with their resume building and connecting to recruiters and things like that. So as I became an entrepreneur, decided to leave my 9 to 5, right? Got some coaching, some marketing coaching, and some other support, kind of like we're doing now in this podcast, and use that information to jump into the entrepreneurial world. And so now that's what I do. I work in that space, educating veteran-owned businesses and women-owned businesses, or any civilian up for the challenge, as you might say, Stephanie,
yes.
To build their business and not implement their foundational pieces that can cost them tens of thousands of hours and dollars down the line. So that's what I do now. I'm a marketing coach and consultant, and I work with people to secure the basics that they need in their business to achieve what they need to in their goal setting. So that's where I am, and that's why we're here in this podcast, so that we can work with you guys and girls and ladies and men, whatever your pronoun is. We're here to work with you and your business.
Awesome. So I know that most people listening, if you're just tuning in and you're just starting your business, or you're fairly new, you are probably like I was when I first had my business idea, and you're basically kind of like, your eyes are like bugging out, and you're looking around and you're like, where do I start? I mean, other than like the LegalZoom, document bullshit, like, okay, now what? So I think like Karen and I, when we were discussing where to start, we want to just focus on the foundation. Like, you obviously need a very good foundation to build a strong house that's going to last and not fall over in the first storm, right? So that's what we want to focus on right now, with our podcast, to help you build your business. And you know what? Even if you've been in business for a few years, this could actually be valuable to you too, because I know for me, and I know Karen probably can agree with this, sometimes you do have to kind of backpedal and address some of those foundation issues that you didn't build at the beginning very well, and go back and fix that so you can kind of keep going with your business. Your business may be operating okay, but maybe if you go back and kind of do some of that foundation work, it's going to be even better going forward.
Yes. And you know what, Stephanie, I can't tell you the number of people that I've worked with as a marketing coach and consultant that have basically skipped the foundation, and that's why they're having problems now. So just like if your foundation is faulty in your house, or if you, like, say you skip first base in a baseball game and you try and get a home run, like, it doesn't count, right?
Yeah.
If you take a wrong turn on the GPS, or you have wrong directions in your flight plan, then there's going to be an issue. And so some of the things that you can do is, as a business owner, whether you're just starting or been in business for a while, is to have a checklist. What are some of the basics? So let's talk about that, Stephanie. Let's talk about some of the things that business owners do when they go into business that they miss down. They think that the issue is sales, or they think that the issue is marketing, or they think the issue is this or that, right? Really, it's something else. Example, getting the basics down. What problem are you solving? A lot of people don't talk about the problem they're solving. And so no one knows what that means to them, right? Like, it doesn't matter how great your company is. Nobody wants to hear you talk about how great your company is. They want to know, how can you solve my problem, right? Isn't that a big one?
I think you and I would agree. That's the number one mistake that most business entrepreneurs make at the very beginning, is the focus on the product or service rather than the problem that they're solving for their potential customer. That is key, because unless you're Bill Gates, or unless you are inventing something brand new that's just going to change the world, right? Unless you're inventing the new iPhone, most likely other products and services and tchotchkes or whatever you're doing is already being done out there, right? Like, Karen and I don't do anything that's completely different than any other business coach out there. But what we're doing is addressing a specific problem for that specific customer. And that's why we're successful, is because that's what we laser focus on. It's not about, oh, I have this much experience and I can do this, and this is the service I provide. I'm a business coach. I don't know how many damn times I've heard people say, I'm a blank coach. Like, who cares? There's a gazillion of those out there. Like, how are you different, and how are you going to solve my problems? Because that's what coaches are supposed to do, is solve problems. So I think that is the number one mistake. I know I kind of like accidentally didn't make that mistake at the beginning of my business, Fireteam Whiskey, because that is what inspired me to create Fireteam Whiskey. I saw this problem. I was sitting there at this wellness camp. It's a 2-week camp where they bring in military members who have failed their PT test or their body fat. So they bring them in for 2 weeks, and the whole focus is on teaching them skills to get them to meet the military standards of body fat and fitness, right? So that's the whole goal. That's all we're focused on, to solve this problem for 2 weeks. So I'm providing these eating psychology seminars. I'm doing circuit workouts. I'm doing yoga. I'm spending all this time giving them all these, resources and education. But then I'm waving goodbye to them in the parking lot as they leave and go home. That's when I said, aha, this is a problem. They're going right back into the environment that built up those bad behaviors to get them to the point where they were not taking care of themselves physically, right? So I said, gosh, wouldn't it be cool if they could leave here with a package? a package of what they just learned so they can now translate this package into their home environment and their home life. Oh, it was all well and good when we're all focused here at Camp Blanding for 2 weeks, without the kids and without the job and without the wife and, all this stuff. But now, how are you going to translate this Chinese we just taught you into, your home environment? So that's how I created Fireteam Whiskey. I said, there's a problem here and I want to solve it. I want to create this package that fits in that niche and solve this so they can drive home and have that ready and waiting for them to translate into their home environment. So I kind of accidentally didn't make that mistake, thank goodness, because I made plenty of others. But I love that you focused on that, Karen.
Thank you. And I think it's important to speak to that in all of your communications, all your marketing communications. I mean, when we go to networking meetings or we're, at a webinar or whatever, I think a lot of people focus on, I've had this many years experience and I do this and I have this degree and I have this certification, and that's all well and good. But to your point, that doesn't tell your potential client or your clients how you're going to solve their problem. They want to know, where does my story and my problem intersect with your solution? Well, I've been
This podcast is sponsored by Backend Bullshit Business Solutions. We save business owners time, money, and their sanity by doing all the back-end technical bullshit that they don't have the time or the technical expertise to deal with. We set up automated systems, sales funnels, lead campaigns, and social media posts for busy business owners who are overwhelmed with the technical requirements of running a business. We do the stuff you hate so you can spend your time doing the stuff you love in your business. You can set up a free 20-minute business consultation call at www.backendbullshitsolutions.com.
And another thing I want to say about that is we have a lot of clients that say, well, what I do is a pleasure. It could be that they do photography or that they do cruises. And really, it's just heads and tails of the same thing, right? So I say pains and gains. So if you don't want to talk about the pain that you solve or the pain that you alleviate, talk about the gain that your customer gets, right? The best photographs they've ever had, or that make them, look professional and change their LinkedIn appearance and their Zoom appearance, something like that. Or if it's a cruise, which is probably not, they could use a lot of marketing help right now, right? But, if there's a travel, for example, a travel company that can help you eliminate the frustration in trying to plan a trip for a lot of people, that's a pleasure, right? An ice cream shop, things like that. It's the same thing, pains and gains. Yeah. Talk about what your customer can gain by working with you or the pain that they can alleviate. And here's the thing, right? It has to be a migraine level problem. It can't be something they're going to DIY themselves. So this brings me to my second point, which I really wish people knew. And that is that not everyone you meet is ready to solve their problem yet with you. A lot of people are trying to DIY it still, whether it's fitness or whether it's marketing, whatever the case might be, right? They're trying to solve that problem themselves. So that brings me to a concept called the buyer's journey, which says that over 90% of your people that you're meeting, they're not ready to buy from you yet. So if you're out there pitching people, I hear your sweet little kitty.
I know. He's going to join us on the podcast.
What's your name, little guy?
Hey, little buddy. This is Buddy.
Hi, buddy.
So he says, I see a free lap and I'm going to take it.
Nice. So yeah, so I see a lot of people out there pitching right away, to people who aren't ready to buy yet. And if we think about our own buyer's journey, we're always, looking out for how we can solve a problem ourselves, right? Before we decide that somebody else might need to help us with that. So if you can remember that there's a process that people go through, and they're looking to you to do the know, like, and trust, right? They got to know you, then they learn to like you, then they learn to trust you. So you're taking them on this journey where they're just learning about your product and deciding, A, can I solve this myself? B, if not, who can I get to help me, right? And they're still evaluating your competitors. So if you're going in for the kill on the first ask or the second ask, it's like asking somebody to marry you on the first date. It like doesn't make sense. You have to have some trust building involved, right? So I think that will alleviate a lot of concerns that you have out there in business land, people who are listening. If you are wondering why your sales and marketing isn't working, it could be the first thing we talked about, the point we demonstrated earlier about pains and gains, or it could be that maybe you're not taking into account the buyer's journey, that they're not ready to buy. But the good news is you can take top 10 FAQs that you get in your business and start distributing that as free material, as downloads, as videos, as webinars, and nurture them along that process so that by the end of that process, whether that's 6 days, 6 months, or 6 years, depending on what you sell, right? What product or service you have, by the end of that process, it will be a natural fit for you that you're going to get customers that appreciate what you have to offer. They're loyal, they're customers for life. It's a good match. They're not tire kickers. They're not price shoppers. By the end of the vetting process, you have both decided that this is a good fit, kind of like the dating example, right? You've decided at the end of this process that this is a good fit and you're going to move forward. So that'd be another thing I think that would be helpful if most business owners knew that basic about the buyer's journey or the customer life cycle. What do you think?
And when I went to I finally wised up, a few months into my business and I started going to any training I could possibly go to. I went to seminars, I went to webinars. I think around that time, that's when I met you, Karen, attending the women's business luncheon, because I was just like, I need to be a sponge and I need to learn as much as possible. And I remember the moment where this like blew my mind. I was like, customer's journey? What? Like, why didn't I think of that? Like, it's like, it seems so common sense, but again, most people are not thinking about this. Most business owners are not thinking about this. They're thinking about, hey, I need to make some sales. I need to, pay the bills. I need to get this business up and running. And it does take time and effort to kind of slow down, pump the brakes a little bit. I know you're excited about your business and you're trying to do what you're supposed to do, but if you could just pump the brakes a little bit. And what for me, I think was valuable, and this is why getting some coaching and hiring a consultant like K-Bar is so valuable, is you need that kind of outside perspective, because really, as a business owner, you have blinders on. You are just overwhelmed. You're wearing 50 hats. You have all this stuff going on, and it's hard to kind of have a perspective. It just blew my mind to kind of do these seminars and get this expert help and have a group of other, business owners there to say, oh yeah, have you thought about this, about this question that your customer may have? And I'm like, whoa, no, I didn't. So just being able to kind of pump the brakes and go, let me take a step back, maybe get some coaching, hire Karen for some coaching, and get her perspective, or do a mastermind like Karen offers with other business owners. And I've gotten so much amazing, I say the best ideas I've had in my business were actually not mine at all. They were not. They were from, my mastermind business owner, family, from, other customers making suggestions. So you have to kind of get the blinders off and get some other perspective, because how do you know about your customer's journey if you don't ask your damn customers, right?
Amen. Amen. Amen, sister. Preach it. I'm on that same bandwagon for sure. And I think it's, two things. Number one, I think, marketing, I always say, is a conversation, right? Then people don't really understand marketing. All you need to know, in my opinion, is that it's a conversation. And at times you're talking and at times you're listening. And like any good conversation, if you listen most of the time, 80% of the time, and you talk 20% of the time, then you're going to find out what you need, like you said, from your customers, from your mastermind groups, from your coaches. So whether you're choosing me or choosing someone else, find a coach, people, find a mastermind, educate yourself on marketing. Don't leave it to chance. Don't leave it to fate. You get help in your accounting and your legal. You need to get help with your marketing as well, because that's the lifeblood of your business, right? But to your point about the customer's journey, I think that the quick tip here, the quick takeaway on how can business owners implement that into their business right now, start asking for the micro yeses and stop asking for the macro yes right up front, all at one time, right? Ask those little micro yeses. Do something to offer value and get an email address. Get something to offer an incentive to attend your event or webinar. Do a small yes each step of the way until you have 4 or 5 yeses, and then you can see if it's even a good fit for you, right? Because it seems strange to think of it this way, but when I found out that we're interviewing our clients also, right, to make sure they're a good fit. And in the beginning, I think business owners think anybody who will buy and sell a house, or anybody who wants their photograph taken, or anybody who wants this service is my customer. And it really ends up in a situation where you're run ragged as a business owner, and you're chasing the wrong leads, and you're spending a ton of money and time on people who are not going to convert, right? They're not going to be a good fit for you. So if you can pursue those 4 or 5 micro yeses, then you're going to, at the end of that process, have a customer that's a good fit for you, whose life you can change or whose problem you can solve and really add value. And I think a lot of us, especially with military backgrounds, that's what we're in it for. Like, we're servant leaders, we're service oriented, and we want to make an impact in people's lives. And if you truly want to do that, then you need to vet them and make sure they're a right fit for you. And the customer journey, buyer's journey, is one way to do that. Yes.
Yeah. And I was just thinking though, as well, like every time we sell a program with Fireteam Whiskey, I always send out surveys. I always try as much as possible to get customer feedback, like anything. I want to hear the good, bad, and the indifferent about the product that you just experienced. So that helps me grow. That helps me also target down who my customer is. And I think that, we're talking about the buyer's journey, the customer's journey. A big mistake, a big foundational mistake that business owners have is they have no idea who their damn customer is. It just, maybe they have an idea, or they do the general Karen and I like laugh every time because this always happens. It's like, okay, who's your customer? Who's going to buy your product? Well, everybody, it's like, like, where's the button? Where's the no, wrong answer. That is not right. Everyone is not your customer.
This podcast is sponsored by Boss Lady Brigade. Boss Lady Brigade is a community by and for female vetrepreneurs and their allies. The Boss Lady Brigade website offers exclusive learning and networking experiences, business and marketing insights from industry experts, community building, guest speakers, curated connections, personal inspiration, behind-the-scenes interviews, courses, classes, and an extensive online library with premium content. Their signature program is the One-Sentence Marketing Plan, the DIY Marketing Bootcamp, and a DIY Marketing Masterclass. Go to bossladybrigade.net for a list of free resources.
So you need to really identify down who your customer specifically is, and only target those people, only date those people. It's like, I've never been on a dating app, because that like came way after. I'm much older than that, and that whole thing, but glad I missed it. But from what I hear about using those dating apps is that, you're like swiping left and right? Like, you cannot be swiping right on every single person you see. They have to meet your avatar. It's called a customer avatar. Is they have to look like, smell like, speak like, everything. If me, I like tall, dark-skinned, dark-haired, bald dudes, who are kind of lean. That's my type. I mean, over time, I learned who my dating customer is, right? So
Hey, I
I
didn't know
am
that.
not going to be swiping right, on, like the blonde haired, blue eyed, milky skin, like kind of Irish looking guy. That is not my thing, but I can't say this is my dating customer because I want to date everybody. No, I want to target down who my customer is. So you literally create a customer avatar. And I love Karen because Karen gives them names. It's so fun. And it really helps you target your marketing to those specific people. So you're not wasting your money and your dollars, your marketing dollars, talking to the people who would never give you the time of day. You're just going to be throwing money out the window. And you, especially, again, you're kind of interviewing them too. You only want to work with your customer anyway, because anybody else that falls outside of that most of the time, it's just going to be a problem. So you don't even want to deal with it, right?
It's true. They're going to end up being price shoppers as one example, and maybe leave when somebody else offers a better price or a better deal, or maybe they'll get in the middle of it and not really understand what's going on or feel like there's value there. Something will happen down the road, but the better you get at defining your customer, like the riches are in the niches, right? The more impacts you will have and the more income you will create for yourself. And I wish that I would have taken that advice sooner. After I heard it, I heard the riches are in the niches, and I'm like, are you sure? Like, I should kind of keep my options open. But the more I niche down, the more my message resonated with my customer avatar. And to your point, Stephanie, Frazzled Fiona and Super Achiever Sally are my customer avatars, right? So I've put a list of, who these people are, not just their demographics, like their age, maybe their income level, maybe their life experience, their education level, but also their psychographics, right? What kind of decision-making process do they have? What are they afraid they most want in life, right? I've used brand archetype structure to help me with that as well, to add on to that. So yes, the riches are in the niches. And so if you haven't created a customer avatar, and you're also not aware of the pain point or the gain that you're offering your customer, and you're not marketing according to the buyer's journey, those are 3 areas that you can work on right now that are going to impact your business immediately. Now, if you're getting this advice from an expert, you're going to pay $150, $250, $350 an hour minimum for a consultant to tell you everything we just said to you, but one point at a time, right?
Exactly.
Or you're going to pay hundreds or thousands of dollars for a workshop. So there you go. Boom. You can write that down. You can do your homework. And before we wrap up this episode, I want to say one more thing, because this is really important, because as you do those 3 things, what you're going to realize is that's a lot of work. You have a lot of work on your plate to do that and work on your business, right? So you're going to start realizing that you have a lot of things on your plate now, that you're having some foundational pieces in place, and you're going to realize you can't do it all, right? You're going to realize, as you would say, Stephanie, you can do anything, but
you can't do everything.
Yep, exactly. And so I want to speak to that really quickly so that people don't leave feeling overwhelmed, like, oh, I have all this homework to do and I've done it. And I realize, I've got this clarity now. How am I going to, create a sales funnel? How am I going to make a lead landing page? How am I going to work on my website? Like all this stuff, right? So I have a simple formula that I want to share with the audience for and do themselves and what they can outsource. Okay. And then I want to talk about your business and tips for people. But my feedback is to make a list of the things that you love to do in your business, especially in a marketing capacity, and the things that you're good at in your business. I want you to stop the podcast right now if you're listening, and I want you to write those things down. Things that you're good at, things that you enjoy doing. And after you've paused and you've come back, maybe you're back now, you've paused and you've written that list. Now you can pause and make a list of things that you're horrible at, you don't like, you're getting better, don't like to do them, right? I want you to make that list. Pause and make that list. And so when you're done, what you're going to do is you're going to keep all the things you like to do and that you're good at, and you're going to outsource all the things you're really bad at or that you don't enjoy doing. So typically one of those things I've noticed in my life, in my business, and in my client's business, we don't love working with technology and we don't love tech stacking. And there's a lot of things to remember, and email automation and website building and all this stuff. Got into business later in life. We're not like in the middle of all that, right? We're not trying to be about that. We're trying to focus on our business. So what are some of the tips? Because I know, Triple BS, your business that helps business owners focus on what they love to do. Y'all help people with all that back end stuff, which is the least favorite part of almost any entrepreneur's journey. So can you tell us a little bit about, how that works or what people can do to automate? Because I love the idea of having a free employee 24 hours a day, 7 days a week that can do my work for me. So what kinds of tips do you have besides the formula we just shared for business owners to kind of automate or get rid of that back end stuff?
Yeah, I love the idea that you just gave, K-Bar, the two lists. So just focus down on the things you love to do and just focus on building your skills in that area. And then now you have to shop for someone, and many someone's most likely, to take on that other stuff that you're not interested in, you're not good at, and just move it along. There are plenty of people out there who are really good at this stuff and who will fit your business very nicely. And it's almost just like the same process of finding your customer, the swipe right, swipe left, right? You have to find the right fit for your business. For me, I went through Army signal training. So I actually know how to take apart a computer and put it back together again and have it actually work. So I happen to be a little bit of a nerd. So I love this shit. This on the list of the shit that I love is the tech stacking stuff. I love it. It's just fun to me. It's challenging and intriguing. And I just love all the connections and how things work together. So, but I can definitely tell you, I've done consultation calls with people who are looking for me to do some of that back-end tech stacking stuff for their business and have their business kind of get automated in a lot of ways that I've actually turned down as customers because we weren't the right fit for each other. I maybe, kind of didn't really understand their product or service. Or I just didn't really feel like I could find the voice to best express, what they're trying to put out there. Or maybe I just kind of didn't really like what they were doing, so it would just be stupid of me to take on a customer that just I wasn't really all that excited about. I wouldn't be doing justice for their business. Now, hopefully they can find somebody out there who can do that for them. So again, you're gonna have to kind of shop around and find the best fit for your business and who understands your voice, who you're talking to, who your customer is, what kind of approach you're taking. It's not just just do this and get it done and this anonymous person working in the background. I really hope you kind of create a relationship with these people who are maybe taking on these tasks for you, who are a right fit for your business. A good example of this I'll give. So when I first started my business, my husband is a business consultant and he found somebody to kind of set up our website and run some Facebook ads when we were first launching, right? So the first ones he came up with, I was horrified. I was like, I had a phone call with him and I said, dude, this sounds like a 22-year-old dude wrote this who has never been in the military. He doesn't even know what the military is. It does not sound like my customer. My customer is a military person. They've been in a while. They're struggling with the fitness and body fat standards, they've kind of let themselves go a little bit. They're getting a little older. It's getting a little harder for them to kind of fit this all in to their lives. You do not sound like my customer. You sound like a 22-year-old spoiled little brat who has never done a minute in the military and has never done any hard things in their lives. And you probably don't even have calluses on your hands. So no, this is not going to work. So I fired him because it just wasn't a good fit. He was not going to be speaking to my audience, because he was the one writing my ads and targeting, my customers, and it wasn't going to be getting the customers that I wanted to bring into my business. So you have to just kind of be a little bit vigilant about that when you start hiring people to do this back end work. But even just like Fiverr is a great example of getting a few things done really quickly, PDFs made, free handouts, like flyers or brochures. But definitely interview them too and make sure, they're the right fit. Look at their past work, make sure that you kind of click with that and it's not just something completely obscure and completely off brand for you.
I agree. And I would be amiss if I did not mention that it's because of your experience with Fireteam Whiskey, the first company that you founded, and automating that and finding tech stacks and doing emails and websites and things. That's the experience, I believe, that brought you to Backend, your triple BS, right? The Backend business bullshit solutions, right? So you have that one business on lockdown. It's automated, right, on the back end, and that's how you're able to offer these other services. To me, that's no joke. Like running one business is really hard, but running two businesses, like you have to have that automation on lockdown. So A, that's cool. And B, if this is a lot of work for some people, if it seems really overwhelming, my secret tip for managing all that chaos is your first hire, right? Besides yourself, whether that's a VA or whether that's somebody like Captain Lincoln, hire one person to manage all of that. So you're just talking to one person, right? Mm-hmm. You could probably, I don't know if you do this, you probably could hire Captain Lincoln to manage all your tech providers, right? And do some tech stacking and tech pieces yourself, right? Just talk to one person and they can order the PDFs and create that. They can work with the vendors to do email automation and websites. Like I know you don't do website creation, right? But you could manage and talk to a website creator and an email automation series and a copywriter. Like you could direct the efforts of all these providers and all these vendors for a business owner. And to me, that money and time you save there is amazing. And that way, as a business owner, you're just talking to one person instead of managing a team of people. So if you want to manage a team of people, knock yourself out. If you're talented and interested in doing that, great. If that's not on your list of things that you can do well or that you like to do, consider hiring one person to manage all of your vendors. And I think that you'll see that it's very refreshing and allows you to focus on the work that you do. Yes?
Exactly. Yeah. Great tips.
Awesome. Well, you too. You guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I think we're going to wrap it up for this week, this episode, but we look forward to seeing you next time. Visit us at boss.net. Where else can they find us, Steph?
www.backendbullshitsolutions.com.
All right. Thanks, guys, girls, ladies, and children of all ages. Thank you. See you next week.
Bye.
Thank you.